last thing we're gonna, talk about as far as training camp goes is guys that we think can break out not only just in training camp but in the regular season and beyond. So we'll go ahead and give our predictions for both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Um, Ryan, I'll go ahead and start with you. Who are some guys that you think are really gonna, break out and show some good flashes for this Cardinals team?
I think I'm going to start off defensively here, and that's going to be Buda Baker. Now, I know, Buda Baker still made the Pro Bowl last year, and he's been, I think, really the face of the Cardinals franchise. You could even, argue ever since Larry Fitzgerald retired, because he represents everything that this franchise has. He's gritty, he's tough as nails, and he really, puts his all on the field. But last year he dealt with some injuries, especially towards the end of the season. I mean, even though he played through them, there were still some times where you could tell that he wasn't fully 100%. And I guarantee under Jonathan Gannon, who is obviously now a defensive minded head coach, and given that Buda is one of the top defensive players in this league, I'd certainly look for, Buda to come out with a vengeance and maybe act like, and maybe even potentially put up a defensive player of the year type of performance. I mean, he could actually, in a sense, make that case. And I kid you not, and I'm not trying to be biased here, but like really, Buda is the complete package when we're talking about safety. Offensively speaking, and this is going to kind of be a bit of a dark horse candidate here, Zach Ertz, which really sucked because, towards the end of I mean, he got hurt probably right around mid-season where it was during that Rams game when he had the knee injury and was out for the rest of the year. But he's another guy too. I mean, obviously, he was one of the top tight ends in the league for the longest time. And then he kind of fell off a cliff a little bit there in Philly and was traded to the Cardinals. But I'm really looking for him to certainly, come out with a vengeance as well. For him, this is like, the time where he can really also prove it as well. If he can, kind of get back to that same form that we're all being accustomed to, which I think he can. So yeah, those are my two guys, Buda Baker, defensively and offensively, Zach Ertz.
Yeah, I'll start with defense as well. I think my guy's gonna have to be Zaven Collins. I know we were just talking him up a bunch, but I think that he can become the second best player in this defense pretty soundly. Buda Baker has that locked in as that number one defensive player, but I think if Zaven plays this new role and he buys in and Gannon has him running around, rushing the passer, dropping back into coverage. I think we could see double-digit sacks, multiple interceptions. That's what I'm hoping from Zabin, and he can kind of solidify himself as a really good defensive player for this team. I'm really looking forward to him and watching him play. And then on the offensive side of the ball, we didn't really bring it up too much in the new additions, but Froholt, the center that they brought in from Drew Petzing's time in Cleveland, he brought in his guy to play some center for us. I really liked what he showed in that preseason game. He looked mean. He looked like he wanted to hit people, especially in the screen game, in the run game, and that's what I've been wanting to see. I feel like center has been a revolving door for us, especially with just all of the penalties. And we had Rodney Hudson come in, and that just didn't work out. He was at the end of his career, but I'm really looking forward to Froholt maybe not becoming any like elite player or a great player, but just a guy who's going to be stable on that offensive line and can kind of firm up that inside spot because it feels like that's been a headache for the Cardinals for a while. So those would be my two guys, Froholt and Zaven Collins.
Yeah, and then for my picks, I'll start with defense. And I'm gonna go Marco Wilson. I've always been a fan of Marco Wilson. I think this year he's going in for sure as he's gonna start the year as CB1, and he's a guy that's just like always like getting better. It feels like we didn't really have too much expectations for him when we drafted him, and he ended up playing really solid his rookie year, and then he got even better the next. And I expect the same. I think he's just gonna just keep working hard, and I think he's really a guy that I don't know if he's gonna end up being a cornerback one caliber type of guy, but I think he's just a guy that you can rely on to be, your maybe like your number one or just a really reliable number two cornerback. So excited this year to see Marco Wilson. And then on the offensive side, I'm really in between two guys. And if one of you guys would have taken him, then I just would have gone with the other. But for offense, I'm really excited to see what Rondell Moore is going to do in this offense. And also, Ryan, you went with Zach Ertz. I'm going to go with the other tight end and Trey McBride. I'm really excited to see those guys, especially Rondell Moore. I think we were so excited when the Cardinals drafted him, and he made a bunch of, or not a bunch, but he made some really nice highlight plays his rookie year, and then he just like it just felt like he was getting used less and less every single week, and that just never made sense to me because yeah, he's a smaller guy, he doesn't have the longest arms, but I think if you use them the right way, I think you could just really see things open up in the offense. And I don't know I forgot the name of the stat, but I know that his like the amount of yards he would like run in his route was like 1 yard last year. Like he was like, or I don't even know, it might have even been negative because he would just be like, he would only be using these like end arounds or like screen passes where it's like I it just made no sense to me. So Rondell Moore is a guy I think is going to see a bigger role going into this year. And then Trey McBride's another guy I'm excited to see. He was the guy they picked in the second round last year. Didn't make like too much sense at the time, but also he was, in his class, he was ranked as like one of the top tight ends in that class. And, just another guy where you just like didn't really see anything. Like he just like never saw the field. And it just like, I don't believe that that was because of talent. Like I just don't. I think the past regime just had this weird thing of like waiting until like the last 4 weeks of the season for the rookies to like actually see real snaps. So I think Trey McBride is while Zach Ertz is out, I think he's gonna be, kind of a safety blanket type of guy at tight end that, either McCoy or Tune can rely on. So those are my picks for breakouts. I agree with your guys' breakouts as well. Excited to see a lot of these guys play, but those are our breakouts.